Okay, we're going to use the patch tool. And the patch tool is a pretty simple thing. You're going to find it underneath the spot healing brush. So it looks like a Band-Aid with a little dotted line here. It's right above the brush tool. Most people know where the brush tool and the eyedropper is. So of course it's got the little white triangle. We're going to click here and find the patch tool. So I click that patch tool. Now what that does is it lets me select something, actually move that selection where I can fill it in with something different. So let me explain really quickly. This buffalo right here. We're going to come around this buffalo right here. And of course, I'm getting close to it. You don't have to get this close. I just like to get a little closer so I have more space to work with. And you're going to see now that the patch tool has changed, and I have it over the buffalo, and you can see that there's a little black arrow saying, hey, move it to the right. You don't have to move it to the right. You can move it left or right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go left and right, and we're going to move it. But before I do that, I'm going to come up top here. You're going to see that there are the 4 squares up here, which is a new selection. So if I start something new, notice the first selection goes away. I have my add selection, where if I want to, I can add to the selection I already have, and it adds to it, and I can continue adding to it. Or if it's too big, I can subtract. So let's come back here and subtract a little bit more. And notice I can subtract some of this and make it a little bit better. So it's a little closer. And then of course, whatever overlaps, click it over here, and whatever overlaps it will use. So let's go back to our new selection, and let's go back to our buffalo. Again, I like to get close to it just because, and you're going to see that I want to have a little bit more area to select from. So the smaller, the closer your selection, the better it'll be. So I have the buffalo right here. I give myself a little bit of an edge for several reasons, okay? So notice again, we talked about that arrow. It says I can move it left. I don't want to move it left. I can move it left or right. And notice when I move it, the selection changes and it actually mirrors whatever's in there when I move the second one. Now I'm holding my mouse down and clicking it, clicking left, holding it down and moving it around. Wherever I move it, it actually fills it. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look at this grass area. That looks pretty good. Now, don't come down here because as you see, the flowers and the foreground looks awkward when you're looking at the middle of the picture or the middle ground of the picture. So always pick something pretty much on a parallel. You have a little fudge left and right, and that's okay. But just remember, you should pretty much say parallel with it. So you have the right perspective and things like that. So what I do is once I let go, you're going to find out that as it works, and I'm going to go Control D or deselect. So I'll go filter. I'm going to select deselect. You're seeing that it filled in everything that was here. It filled in here flawlessly. And it's really simple. Now, mind you, it's a perfect copy. So I can see these 2 dots in this little brush here. You see the 2 dots or the 2 dark greens and the yellow here. I would go back and touch that up with my my clone stamp tool, just so it doesn't look the same. It's like it's a repeating pattern. But those are just the nuances of it. The basis of this is just how to use the patch tool. So let's go ahead and let's try another one. Let's get rid of this one right here. Now this one has a little bit of gray here. I'm going to go straight across. And let's see how we can move this one. Now I can move it left like this. Got a little bit of spot there. No, I don't like that. Maybe I want to move it here. And notice the little gray is showing on the bottom. See how I got that little gray showing? So you'll see it. I'm going to fill that little gray in, trying to make it straight across. And I let go. And you're going to notice that I filled in that space that the buffalo was filling in by just using something else. Those are things you have to take into consideration. Those little nuances make your picture always better. Let's get rid of these guys. I'm just going to come here and make it nice and easy. Now, I only have really 2 places to go. I really can't go here because those other buffaloes come in. So the only thing I got is like right over here. Now, yeah, I've got the trees in there. So the best thing I could do is something like this. I'm going to release it. And I would have to come in and delete some of these trees. Because notice the bases of these 2 trees are right here and right here. And what I would do is go in and clone stamp it. I'm okay with how this looks. We don't know what it's like, so I'm fine. Now, there's one other thing. Up top here where I have my 4 squares, which is the combine, subtract, and overlap, I have what they call the patch. It's called content aware. And then there's a one called normal. It usually defaults to normal. And I'm going to show you what the difference is. With normal, it takes its surroundings and the computer kind of thinks about it and kind of fills in like the colors that it should be. So what I do is when I come here, the computer's going to realize that there's a gray up here on the back of this one buffalo. Okay? So when I move it over here, and I'm going to put it over here. I mean, I can come back here and maybe we'll do the gray like that, but I'm going to do this for this purpose over here. I'm going to release, and you're going to notice that there's a little gray that's filled in here. The computer's trying to compensate for that, okay? And that's what the normal does. I like content aware so that I control a little bit more. You can see that that's the green is trying to pick it up here. It still just does copy those little things over and over again, but I'm not a big fan of that. So what I would do is one more. I'm going to move it this way. Oh, I don't want content. I want to change that to content aware. I'm going to move this over here, and I would have come up here and done something like this. Notice I matched up that line, let it go, and then bada bing, bada boom. Notice I've got this piece here and all this wood here, and you can't even tell that there were buffaloes in this picture. Hope this helps. And again, this is the patch tool.